In this example, we are asked to write the formula of an arithmetic sequence given the value of two terms. We know the fifth term is -32 and the 18th term is 85. So the approach here is going to be to create equations given each of these and then combine them to solve the problem. So first we need the general equation for an arithmetic sequence shown here. We're going to take this piece of information and plug it in. So n is 5, and we don't know d or a1, but that's okay. We do know the value of a5 is -32, and then we can simplify this to isolate the a1 by moving the 4d to the other side, subtracting 4d from both sides of the equation. We now have an expression for a1. We're going to repeat that process with the second piece of information. So similarly, a18, 18 for there, and replace the a18 with the value of 85 and simplify to get the a1 by itself. Next, we can use a really powerful property in mathematics known as the commutative property, which says that if a equals b and c equals b, that means that a must equal c. So how does that apply here? Well, we have two expressions that are both equal to a1, which means these expressions must be equal to each other. So we can set them equal to each other and then solve for d. We do that by adding 17d to both sides and adding 32 to both sides. Why do we do that? Anytime you're doing algebra like this, you want to get all your letters on one side and all your numbers on the other. We can now combine these, getting 13d equals 117, and then divide both sides by 13 to get the value of d being 9. So we now know that the common difference in the sequence is 9. What do we do with that? Well, we're going to plug that back into either of these equations. When you're given a choice like that, I recommend you go with the one with smaller numbers. It just tends to make your life a little easier. So let's plug the value of d into a1 over here. So we're going to replace d with 9, which gives -36 when you multiply it by the 4. And then we combine those and we get that the value of the first term is -68. Last step, because we want the formula, now that we have d and a1, we can plug that into our general equation. And that looks like this. There's the general equation. Let's replace a1 with -68 and d with 9. And then let's do a little simplifying. So when we have a bracket, we're going to multiply the n by 9 and the -1 by 9. That creates this. Now we have two numbers. They can be combined. And there is your final answer. The value of any of the nth term is 9n minus 77.